What's going on, everyone? Coming to y'all with another video. This one is another knife review, and it is not on a folding knife, which is a rarity for me. This is on my Mora 2000, the 2000 Companion. Now, I've had this knife for probably 8 or 9 years now, and I've yet to review it, and there's no particular reason for that other than I never got around to it. I put this thing through a myriad of uses, and I've honestly beat the hell out of it, and I feel like it's finally time to show it to you guys on camera and give my thoughts. Starting with the sheath. Typical Frost Mora plastic sheath, reasonably solid stuff. I know a lot of folks don't like these, but I personally love the lightweight on it. I love that this has drain holes in the bottom in case you're taking this into some high humidity environments, or you just got done skinning with it or dressing a fish with it. I like having the way to kind of let everything drain out. It's also great for after you wash the blade off. You know, the sheath is not going to hold that moisture. Belt carry method with a leather loop, and it has held up pretty well over the years for me, although you can see it's definitely starting to tarnish on those clasps. This is a knife that I throw around. I don't baby this thing, so that leather's broken in well, and it's still holding up fantastically. One thing I want to say about the sheath that I do like is that it is ambidextrous, meaning you can put the knife in either direction for right-hand carry or for left-hand carry, and it gives a nice firm grip on that handle. You're not shaking this out of there. It's a pressure fit that really does hold very nicely, even after all these years. So, while many folks may hate the Mora sheaths, I personally love it. I think it's a very serviceable sheath, and I enjoy it quite a bit. Onto the blade, and man, I have beat this thing to hell. I have taken this camping with me, fishing with me, hunting with me. I have used it in the kitchen. I've used it for dressing fish. I've used it for so much, splitting wood. This thing has been put through the ringer, and I didn't always have a proper sharpening method on hand to keep the blade fresh. So at some point, this thing has even been sharpened against pebbles and other stones that I had found. So I've thrashed this blade very hard. I have abused this blade, and it has taken all of it. Okay, it's a 4.3-inch Sandvik 12C27 drop point blade with a Scandinavian grind, and this thing freaking works. For making kindling, it does fantastically. It shaves away like it's no one's business. It's able to split through smaller pieces of wood in a batoning session without me ever having issues about breakage or ever feeling concerned that it might give out. It's always held up. I've used this to dress bass. I've used this for so many things. And, you know, it's performed admirably in pretty much every regard. The worst application that it's performed in for me, admittedly, was dressing fish. While it is a thin blade, it just doesn't have a lot of flex. So it's not great as a fillet knife, but I have put it in that use, and it absolutely has worked. So what can I say about the blade? I can say that I love it. This thing takes a very sharp edge. It's ugly right now, but this thing is still hair-shaving sharp. It holds it reasonably well. Mora's 12C27 is not going to blow you away. I've certainly used better. But the good news is it's extremely rust-resistant, especially with that beautiful polish on there, even though mine's scratched to hell. I've never once had rust develop on this knife, and I have left this thing with water on it. I've left this thing with fish blood on it, and never once have I had any issue with rusting. So it holds up incredibly well. Sharpens up extremely easily, takes a razor-fine edge, and it just freaking works. I love the blade on this knife. This is my go-to all-purpose blade. And my wife has used this thing in the kitchen before, whenever I had failed to sharpen her kitchen knives for her, and I neglected them so they got a little dull. She's used it in that application, and it's worked very well for her in that role. The only thing about it is the fact that this does have a thin blade means it's not the most amazing batoning blade for getting into the dry wood, but it's not really its proper application. It will work, and I have used it in that, and it did hold up really well. But it just doesn't wedge through quite the same way. So don't try going, if I can speak, to put this through a giant log. It's just not built for it. But if you're being reasonable with what you're asking it will get the job done really, really well. Love the blade here, kind of a double taper thing going on where it gets thinner on the secondary point. So we have more of a shaving blade towards the edge there, which is what we use for our kindling. It's what we use for basically prepping a fire when we're trying to get that tinder for the fire. While down here, this is the section we'd primarily use when we're carving tent stakes, and I have done that with this knife, and again, it has worked very, very well. And it still wears a very nice edge to this day. The handle on here is a plastic and rubber handle, and it's also held up really well. This rubber does not get super dirty like many rubber handles do. You can see it is wearing down. as time goes on, but it has this kind of gator skin grip on it, and this thing is comfortable, man. I mean, one of the most comfortable fixed blades, if not the most comfortable fixed blade I've ever held in my life. Has this nice swell towards the center here, and then it flares out towards the butt of the pommel, and this thing just melts in the hand. I wear medium-sized gloves. It's a perfect fit for me. If you have larger size hands, maybe it'll be a little small for you, but I'd say if you wear a medium or small size glove, this thing is just ideal. It really does feel excellent in the hand. Never had a hot spot develop while I was using it for carving, whether I was carving this way or carving outwards. This thing has always been very nice in the hand. I don't have a weight on this offhand. I will list it in the description if I can find it. So, sorry, I forgot to write that down. However, I can tell you that it is light, even in the plastic sheath. This thing weighs very, very little for a knife of this size. Could you use this as a self-defense weapon? Yeah, you could. It's not the ideal purpose for it, though I do believe the Swedish military has used this as a deployment knife before. It doesn't have the finest tip, so it's not going to be the best for piercing, nor does it have the most belly, so it's not going to be ideal for slashing. But I mean, this is a knife at the end of the day, and it's got a decent reach. You could absolutely employ this in a self-defense situation, and because of that nice rubberized handle, you're not going to slide off this thing when using it as such. Just know that the pommel does not make a great impact weapon because you don't have too much heft going on. You could use it, but it's not ideal. But that's not really what this is for. This is a camp knife. This is a bushcraft knife. This is a kind of an all-purpose knife you'd buy if you needed one knife to take with you for various situations. I do not have any competitive options to show you for this knife because I don't really have anything else like it. I don't buy a lot of fixed blades. But this has been my very quick review of the amazing Frost Mora of Sweden Model 2000 Companion. This thing is a trooper, and I have used it for many years, abused it for many years, and I'm likely to keep doing so, and I'm willing to bet that it's going to keep on taking it like a champ. So, that's been my video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and until next time, peace, and take care. I'll see you later.